Well, it's not every day I get introduced to a television series because a bunch of people in my vicinity are discussing the logistics and legitimacy of the main character's penis size, but here we are. This weekend, I watched Netflix's new series, Sex Life. It's an 8-episode season starring Sarah Shahi and Adam Damos, and it's about a middle-aged woman named Billy living the perfect suburban life in Connecticut with her beautiful house, her 2 kids, and her husband Cooper. But Billy soon grows bored with how things are going in the bedroom and begins fantasizing about her sex life with her past lover, a music producer named Brad. Billy begins writing her jerk-off sessions into a journal, which is really just a laptop and a Word doc opened on it without a password, and from there, shenanigans ensue. First of all, the show has exactly what you came for, no pun intended. It's a bunch of hot people having sex, and it's all well choreographed and well filmed, but from the way people have been describing it and hyping it up online, you'd think that it would have made 50 Shades look like a walk in the park. But there's nothing super kinky or out there about the sex in this series, and honestly, that's probably a good thing because I don't think it would have handled the complexities of a BDSM relationship well at all. But the fact that everyone is describing the show as super raunchy and taboo says a lot about where we still are in terms of the whole sex as entertainment thing. I mean, if 50 Shades of Grey, 365 Days, and now Sex Life have proven anything, it's that people love to watch softcore porn from the comfort of their own home if possible. But because sex is still so taboo in America, and I'm not talking about sex culture, music videos and fashion and all that, I'm talking about the actual physical act of having sex, there's this dichotomy where it's popular and people like to consume media about it, but there's also this weird kind of moral grandstanding that often gets in the way of good storytelling. And that's where this show kind of suffers in a weird, half-assed purgatory. I guess I'll do a spoiler warning here for the show, kind of, but it's really all stuff that you can infer from just watching the pilot, so I don't know, I'm not a reviewer, just watch at your own risk. A criticism that many people have of the main character Billy is that she tries to have it all. She wants her cake and she wants to eat it too. And that can get frustrating for the viewer because it's kind of difficult to root for a bad person doing bad things. But I don't think that's necessarily the problem with Billy's character here. First of all, without her internal conflict, there is no show, so I think it's kind of a bad faith criticism. Second of all, audiences naturally want to surrogate themselves into the story as a way of feeling connected to the characters, and when people do that, their gut reaction is to go, well, I'd never do that. That's more immoral and illogical and so on and so forth. So a way that the writers could have avoided this disconnect with the character is to not be so half-assed on her motivations. The whole time, Billy's conflict is that she's stuck between her life with Cooper and the life that she wants to have with Brad, and spends almost every episode just crying about it. So give Billy more of a self-assured motivation. It would have been way more interesting to watch her feel a sense of confidence in trying to pursue Brad while making sure that Cooper doesn't find out. And that's where the conflict could have come in. Sure, I guess that makes her a worse person, but it would be much more entertaining to watch her act with conviction instead of just panicking the whole time over the way that she's feeling. Because that's what a normal person like you or me would do. Panic. But this is TV, this is drama, this is, sex. And the series also has this weird tonal dissonance the whole time because, the writers play it very safe when it comes to the characters and their motivations, but the rest of the show is so fucking absurd and you cannot have both. I mean, there's one episode toward the end of the season, and trust me, you'll know it when you get there, that is so unbelievably over the top that it's comedic, but the show isn't really a comedy. And there's also parts of the show that deal with really heavy topics, and others where all of the supporting characters suddenly act like they're straight up in a cartoon. Now, this show blew up seemingly overnight, and because Netflix is very hush-hush about their metrics, we'll never really know how many people have actually seen it, or the means by which they sought it out. But one thing is for sure. People love their easily streamable softcore porn, and Netflix is definitely leaning into that a bunch. 50 Shades of Grey broke a lot of people's brains back in the day, and while the 50 Shades phenom bubble burst relatively quickly, there's still remnants of it in some really interesting places. There's a really great article by entertainment reporter Kevin Fallon about this that I'll link in the description down below, called "The Pornification of Netflix Continues." In it, Fallon writes, "Still, if the mind-blowing revelation that people like sex, are sometimes horny, and sometimes like to watch hot people have it, or at least simulate having it in movies or TV, can be accepted as fact, it's interesting to figure out where that fits into this idea of what Netflix is as a brand, and what people are turning to it for." Basically, Netflix has a lot of shows and movies that tend to emulate the nature of 50 Shades, for better or worse, And just because they've hit their stride with a genre that people seem to be responding well to, and we all know how important that is in the streaming era, the writing still needs to be good. I honestly enjoyed most of season 1 of Sex Life once I took it for what it was. Silly and over the top and a good distraction you can use to turn your brain off. But then there's the media critic in me who wants to see content that talks about sex in a way that's raw and real and unashamed of what it is, and this is not that, but it does have hot people fucking each other, so do with that what you will. Alright, here's my rapid fire notes about other stuff in the show I found interesting or just plain weird. Actual spoiler warning this time. 3, 2, 1. It is not possible to get back and forth to Manhattan from Connecticut that quickly. Public transit is just not that reliable. The child actor who played Hudson did a bad job, but I think he was probably just directed badly. The way Billy and Cooper employ people to watch their kids in this show deserves its own getting political episode. Sasha and Billy should have had a bye moment. I don't care if it's queerbaiting. I still don't really understand what Cooper's firm actually does. Can we please, for the love of God, stop making parental issues the reason for a male character's trauma if we're not going to take the time to seriously flesh it out? Oh my god, it's so goddamn lazy. Devin is basically the Joker by the end of the series. Francesca deserves better than everyone else involved here, and no, I don't think that's his real penis. Props to the makeup department on that one though. Okay, bye!